friends, it's Liv and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. If you are, hi, my name is Liv. It is so nice to finally meet you. So if you don't know, the Tower of Nero, which is the fifth and final book to the Trials of Apollo series by Riordan, and also the final conclusion to the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles, is coming out on Tuesday, October 6th. If you're watching this the day it goes up, I'm not sure which day I'm uploading it. It's either coming up the day before book release or book release day. But if this is up on Tuesday, or if you're watching it on Tuesday, happy book birthday to the Tower of Nero. I'm so excited to read it. I have been a fan of the Percy Jackson series and the entire Riordanverse since I was 10 years old, and I'm 22 now, so that is well over half my life that I have spent in this fandom, and I have no intention on leaving anytime soon, especially now with the Disney Plus series for the Percy Jacksons and the Kane Chronicles Netflix adaptations, which they both sound so good. I'm so glad that Rick has a hand in the writing and directing aspect, so I think they're gonna be great. But for today's video, I am going to be reacting to some theories for Tower of Nero, whether it's theories on who's gonna die, different plot points, anything. So just so you are aware, there will be spoilers for the rest of the books in this series. So if you haven't caught up on the books yet, I recommend doing so before watching the rest of this video, because otherwise you might just get spoiled. But if you'd like to see some fan theories for the books and my responses and or reactions to them, then just keep on watching. All right, here we go. I'm so nervous. Okay, this is an interesting one. What if, because we all know Nico will be a big part of the next book, Nico will send his soul to the underworld in exchange for Jason's? Previously, not really sure when, Uncle Rick mentioned in a book that a soul that has once cheated death can sell their soul to Hades in exchange for a soul that has recently left their body. That would be interesting. So that would be interesting, especially because I think Rick really has hyped up the whole, like, you can't cheat death unless there are certain instances, and this definitely would be an instance where I could see that happening. However, I don't think Nico would necessarily sacrifice himself to bring Jason back unless something happened to Will. I have heard so many people saying that they think that Will Salas is going to die in this last book, and I really hope that doesn't happen, because Nico and Will are like my Camp Half-Blood OTP. I love them so much. Personally, I hope it doesn't happen, but I feel like the heads of the Apollo cabin are known for being killed off in these books, because just in the Percy Jacksons alone, we had 2 heads of the Apollo cabin that were killed in the battles against Kronos and his army. So it is a possibility, and especially with the entire series focusing around Apollo and his children, it could happen that something could happen to Will. But I think if something did happen to Will, that would be the only way that I think Nico would go about sacrificing himself, as close as he and Jason did become over the series. I love Jason Grace and I would love to see him back, but this would break my heart if this is what happens. Especially because I think we've also heard that Hades said if Nico ever died, he would have a place next to his father. So might be some foreshadowing. Who knows? Huh, this one's interesting. Apollo doesn't actually become a god again. This is improbable, but possible. After all, in the first book, Apollo said that he should still have a mortal ichor, no mortal blood, and he also said that he had some great strength, musical skill, archery skill, even as a mortal. Looking now, Apollo is regaining some of his skills, but is it enough? I personally agree that it is very improbable that Apollo wouldn't regain his godly status, because I feel like that is the entire purpose of this series, is Apollo going through his trials. It is the trials of Apollo for him to complete these quests and then regain his godly status. So I feel like unless something happened where he chose to remain as immortal with his friends, which I still don't necessarily see happening, a lot has happened and he has learned a lot, but he's also mentioned so many times about things that he's learned that he will bring back with him when he makes it back to Olympus. So I personally think he'll regain his godly status, but this is something that I have actually wondered for quite a while now. I think maybe there is a possibility, but I think the majority of the probability and the side I'm leaning towards is that he will regain his godly status in the end. Here's another following Will and Nico is, I saw this in another person's theory, but Nico trading his life for Will's. A soul for a soul he sees as his life is complete. He has lost everything and losing Will won't give him purpose anymore. So he takes the role as Ghost King and stays in the underworld to let Will live. I do think think this might also be a possibility. Again, if Nico is going to trade his soul for anyone's, it would either be trading his soul for Will's so Will could come back to life, or then again trading his soul for Jason's so Jason could come back, be with Piper and the rest of the gang, and Will and Nico could live happily ever after in the underworld. Here's a few that I will kind of pick and choose which ones to read from. We will see Percy, Annabeth, the folks of Camp Half-Blood, and possibly the rest of the 7, now 6. I have heard that I think Rick announced that all of the 7 will be making appearances throughout the Trials of Apollo series, and so far we've seen all but Annabeth, so I feel like Annabeth is all but guaranteed to make an appearance in this book. I hope she does, because I have missed her, although she's been very busy with Magnus and what's going on in his afterlife. But I definitely think that we will see more appearances from the rest of the 7, and I'm hoping they're gonna have like a hand in this big battle. However, the silver lining to if any of them decided not to show up would be that then nothing would happen to them and they'd be safe off wherever they're at. So hoping for their safety, but also hoping that we'll get to see them and that great things will happen to them. I want my babies to have a happy ending. If this is the finale to the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles and every story, everything that we've been reading since the first book came out in 2005 is coming to an end, I need the happy endings. If Apollo becomes immortal again, is he still going to hang out with Meg? I think he might be able to, depending on, I know Zeus kind of has the whole thing right now where gods can't really talk to their mortal counterparts. So all depending on Zeus's rules, I think there is a good chance that Apollo would see Meg again in the future. I don't know how they'll make it happen. I don't necessarily know what all they would get up to, but I don't necessarily think this would be the final end to Meg and Apollo's adventures. Python's defeat. I think Apollo will probably finish off Python as Lester because he's wearing mortal clothes in the book cover and showing off as he's leaping to kill the big bad snake. If not, Lester and Meg fight Python and become tired, and at the last moment Apollo regains his immortality and begins firing off arrows. Also, Apollo might use the arrow of Dodona to kill Python. That's another possibility. I think that would be awesome. I think if Apollo were to sacrifice his mortal life to save his friends, save Camp Half-Blood, and defeat Nero and the Beast, then I think Zeus would give him back his godly status at that point. If Apollo has learned how to be human and has learned like his empathy and his kind of earth skills and communicating with the humans around him, and he used that to sacrifice himself to save them all, I absolutely 100% think that Zeus would see that as Apollo's price being paid and would give him back his godly status. I think that would be so cool. Like, could you imagine like the Endgame-esque, it all seems hopeless, and then it's like Zeus kind of being like, hey Cap, on your left, and then he's a god again? That would be amazing. But also using the arrow of Dodona to kill Python is like the final like kill shot, end of the battle. That would also just be kind of, I would be 100% okay with that. This theory is about how Apollo regains immortality. He may ask for a gift to Zeus about Jason's resurrection and all that, or Rick Riordan might end the book like I walked into the Olympian Council at last. This of course goes back to how I truly believe that this book will end with Apollo becoming a god again, but of course I will have to read to find out when it comes out tomorrow. I'm so excited. But I think it'd be interesting if he did ask for the gift from Zeus to bring Jason back. I don't know if Zeus can necessarily do that. Of course, I know he is a god, he can do whatever he pleases, but I don't know because that's more of like Hades' jurisdiction than Zeus is, so I don't know if Zeus can necessarily tell Hades to bring a demigod back from the dead, even if it is technically Zeus's son, just the Roman counterpart of his. But if something like that could happen, if Jason comes back, I will sob very happy tears. I love Jason Gray so much, as I've mentioned a million times, and book 3 broke me when he was killed. So I think if he does come back in any way, shape, or form, I would absolutely love that. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll get this whole thing wrapped up. Okay, so I think this final one will end on a pretty big note. Based on the recent tweets by Becky Riordan, I think Percy is going to die. My second one is more of a hope than a theory, but I want Apollo to turn down immortality. Instead, I want him to either stop the gods from sending more demigods on quests or bring back Jason and Percy if my first theory is correct. Okay, so quite a bit to unpack here. I really don't want Percy Jackson to die. That is like my first actual thought on this. However, this is something that I've been thinking about for a little while now. Simply speaking, I don't know if there's a way to really end the series with him just going off to New Rome University with Annabeth, with the possibility that he could one day come back and not like technically retire, unless you did kill him off kind of in like a Tony Stark-esque. I'm bringing in a lot of Endgame references here, but it is of course the endgame of the Camp Half-Blood Chronicles. So again, I don't necessarily think Percy's gonna die, but it is a very, very good possibility. I've also heard some theories that they think Annabeth is going to die, and that all came from the fact that she's the only member of the Seven that we haven't yet seen. So another legitimate fear that I hope isn't gonna happen, but it could. I guess only Rick knows, and I think something about the book has been spoiled so far or leaked. I don't know how people do it, but I am of course trying to stay off Twitter, trying to stay away from all that stuff before I can read the book myself. And going back to one of the first theories we had talked about where Apollo either doesn't regain his immortality or turns it down, I do of course think that the only way for him to not regain his immortality would be if he did decide to turn it down and continue what he's learned about being a human. Of course, I don't think that he will go through all of these trials just for Zeus to tell him that he is stuck being a demigod forever, because I feel like that would make the series kind of pointless. So I absolutely think that if there was any way that he would stay as Lester forever, it would be if he turned it down. And then of course, going back to the whole trading souls and maybe giving up his immortality in exchange for Zeus bringing back Jason and or Percy if Percy does die. That is of course, I don't know if that's Zeus's jurisdiction. I don't know if he can do that with Hades or not, but we'll see. All right, and there you have it, guys. These are just a few fan theories for the Tower of Nero by Rick Riordan, which does of course come out on October 6th. I will be vlogging my reading experience because this book is so near and dear to my heart already and it's not even out yet. But I will be recording my experiences, my reactions, and I do actually have a poll up on Twitter currently about whether or not I should make the vlog spoiler-filled or spoiler-free, but the link to my Twitter is down below in the description, so if you haven't voted already, you should go vote and we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you did enjoy it. If you have any theories on how you think the books are gonna end, please let me know in the comments down below. But if you have seen any spoilers, please don't spoil anything for me because I really, really want to be surprised. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, you can do so by hitting that button down below because I do upload every Monday and every Thursday on this channel and you don't want to miss what's coming next. As always, thank you again so much for watching and I hope to see you next time. Bye!